Hello and welcome to today's class. For today's class, we're actually going to be doing something that's very simple but also very fun and has a lot of different things you can make. And the only thing you're going to need is some paper and potentially a pair of scissors. As I've stated in other videos, if you aren't comfortable with scissors, it's not a big part of the project. We just need it for a little part of it. Just ask an adult for help if you need help. Otherwise, it's very little cutting. It'll be fine. So for today, we're actually going to learn some different origami. If you don't know what origami is, it's the Japanese art of folding paper to make little creatures and stuff. One of the ones we're going to be making today is actually a frog, which I picked the frog because I thought it was a lot of fun. I've made this when I was growing up, and the best part about it is that it jumps. So I thought that would be a nice one to pick, is because it's fun, it jumps. And so to make the frog, we're going to have to start out. So if you don't know anything about origami, you're going to need a square piece of paper. But you're going to say, well, but most paper is a rectangle. So we're actually I'll show you how to make a square sheet of paper, and it'll actually start us out right away, and it'll be really nice, and it'll set us up perfectly for our project. So what we're going to do is we're going to take I just have some regular computer paper. You can use thicker paper, you can use construction paper, you can use colored paper, whatever you want to do. I just stuck with regular computer paper just to show you how it works, and just because it's easy to see and stuff, and it won't really confuse your eyes. If I used a pattern paper, it might. So we're going to use regular computer paper. So you're going to take the corner, and you're just going to bring it all the way across the paper. And then you want to make sure that you get the corners evened up. So when you fold it, see that's all nice and even. So then I can just go and pull it across and then smooth it down a little bit. You want nice crisp folds in origami. That's really important. And so then we have the first thing. So actually, you could cut it here and now, but we're actually going to need just one more step, and it'll make it just a slightly better square if we do it this way. So the line that we folded along, we're actually going to come and try to fold this way. So I'm going to line that up, make sure it looks all good, and it does. So then, oh, there we go. And then I'm just going to come and run across. So then you see we have two nice folds here. We have one this way and we have one this way, and then come into the center and make an X like this. We're going to need that X in a little bit when we start actually folding our frogs. So we're going to use our scissors. You can use, and if you're not comfortable with the scissors, just ask an adult for help. Or you can always start out with a square piece of paper if you have some. I just thought that, square pieces of paper aren't the most common, so you're just going to cut along that line where the fold is. Nice and steady and slow. You don't want to cut into your square and make the paper weird, or cut into it. So nice and steady like that. You just keep cutting. And if you don't feel comfortable, you can always use a pencil and then cut the line after you've marked it. Okay, there. See, we have that nicely cut. So now we can open it up. And so then what we're actually going to do for the next part is you need one more step before you can really start making the frog, and that's you're going to want to fold this in half. So you're going to take your pieces of paper and make sure it doesn't really matter which way you're folding these, just make sure you're folding them. And you line up the corners, make sure everything's even, and then you fold it. And if you did it right, you should have all of your folds intersecting on this X. See, so now we have an X with a line through it. And so now we can actually start into our next part. But I'm going to actually fold it the other way too, just so it's a little easier. In which you should already have that fold crease line, so it should be pretty easy to fold it. So now it goes both directions. And so now we can actually start on the very first part. So I'm going to see where these lines are. I'm just going to fold it in a little bit here, And then I'm gonna fold it in here. See, because it'll go in. And so that'll line up nicely. So we have that first side. And we actually want to do the same thing to the other side. So we start out with a triangle with these flaps on the inside, like that. And now we're actually ready to start our frog. And so what we're gonna do for the very first part of the frog is we're gonna make his front legs. So we're gonna take this corner here, and we're gonna actually just fold it up into the corner here. Make sure you get it nice and lined up, and then you can just press down, and then you do the same thing to the other side. In which I sometimes just fold those down so they don't get in the way of the other one. But you can keep them both up, and there you should have it. If it's not quite perfect, like they're not perfectly lined up, don't worry about it. As long as it's really close, the frog will still turn out, I promise. It'll still jump around for you. Okay, so then we are going to fold inwardly. See, we have another flap here. So we're going to fold it in to the center again. And then do that same thing on the other side. Oh, there we go. And sometimes it gets a little tricky because sometimes it starts getting to be really heavy, the paper, and it kind of resists against you because it's very heavy paper. Well, not really heavy paper, but the more you fold it, the heavier it gets and the thicker it gets, so it can be hard to fold these. So what we're gonna do after that, next step, is we're going to, so we have those, we're now actually going to fold out these, but you want to grab both of these. See these two pieces right here that we were both folding on? We're actually going to grab both of them and fold them over and line them up right here on this line. And these will be the front legs. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Fold it down. And don't worry if they don't perfectly stay down. It'll be fine. Like I said, it gets a little thick. So there we go. We have the front legs of the frog done. So that means we can flip it over to this side and start working on the back legs, actually. So the back legs are a little bit more tricky than the front legs, but I think you guys will do just fine. So for the back legs, we're not going to fold exactly to the center, but we can kind of use that crease line here as a gauging point. So we're going to take this, and we're going to actually leave just a little gap right here from the center. Not a whole lot, just a little bit. And then we're going to fold. And then we're going to do the same thing and try to keep a similar gap as you had on the other side. So I think that looks pretty even. So I'm going to fold. And so we have that. See, we have that. And that's what your frog should look like currently. And we're going to keep folding the legs. So now we're going to actually fold this direction. Like we did with the other one where we came back. We're going to do the same thing. So we're going to fold this in half. Okay. We have that. And then we're going to fold this other half. And then I'll unfold this frog when we're done, and I'll show you again how I did it, just for a refresh and recap. Okay, so now comes the fun part. So that's actually what we needed for the frog's legs. So now we get to do the fun part, which is you get to fold them in half. So you're gonna flip your frog, what would be onto the stomach here. And we're going to fold it, see where it's skinniest right here? We're going to try and fold the frog in half right there, where it's the most skinniest. It's hard to fold it because it gets to be a lot of layers, but just kind of fold it like that. And then we're going to turn it this way. So we have it like this, where it's in half. So then we're going to set it back down. And then we're going to take everything, make sure you don't grab his front legs and fold them, but we're going to take these back legs and just fold a little bit right here. Like this. And without this step, you won't get the nice spring that the frog has. So you fold there again. And now, voila, you have a frog. And then to make him jump, you just go like, you just use your finger. Ooh, I actually have my finger. Well, they don't, this one fold. Yeah, you got I did not enough here to give him spring, so I need to fix that. He doesn't have enough spring. So you need to make sure there's enough space right here to get a good spring on it. And it starts to get hard. Cool. There we go. So now this should spring. Yep. This one jumps a little better though. Yeah, that one. So you want to make sure it's more like this one versus like this one. But yeah, just, oh, there we go. You just got to get your finger lined up on it. Make sure it's on this back part. And boom, flies. So, for a recap, I'm going to try and smooth this back out and unfold it safely without ripping the paper, because that's always an issue, or could be an issue. So, for recap, and now my paper looks significantly more crinkled, just because we've been folding a lot. So obviously every time you fold the paper, it's going to get some crinkles and stuff. But we'll go through it one more time. Okay. And you make sure you have it in like this. Like this. And make that triangle in the first part. And then you flip it. And these are the back legs, so actually you flip it this way. And remember, you fold it up to the center, fold it up to the center, then you fold it in like this, and then again into the center like this, and then you fold it out, and you fold it out, and there's your front legs. Then you flip the frog over. Now it's time for the back legs. So remember, we folded in like this, where there's a little bit of a gap, like this, where see there's that same gap, and then we folded it in half, folded it in half, back legs are done. Then we flip it onto the stomach of the frog, and we fold the frog in half. Then we fold it in half, or fold another crease here, doesn't have to be in half. And boom, you have a frog. And it jumps. And how much pressure? You don't have to put a lot of pressure onto these frogs to make them jump. Sometimes too much pressure is gonna be, but just a little bit, see? Like that. Okay. So that's how you make an origami frog. Now I'm going to very quickly, well, not very quickly, but I'm going to I have the square paper thing ready, and we're actually going to make a balloon. This one's a little bit easier than the frog, so I decided to save this one for second. But, so this will be pretty easy, and it's very similar. Everything is the same on each side, unlike the frog where we had to turn it around and stuff. So, we have our square piece of paper ready, and the very beginning is actually just like the frog, where you have to have that circle and the X. And we're going to just fold it again and again like that. And if you have problems, you can always use your finger to kind of like support the tip of your paper triangle. That'll help it stay upright. And then I'm just going to fold that. And then I'll do the same on this side. And sometimes it doesn't always cooperate with you with this, but that's okay. There. So we have our center So then what we do is just like with the frog, we get a fold up to the center. And then do the same on the other side. Boom. Oh, that was not. There we go. That's the fold. And then we flip it. And we do the same exact thing. So you're going to want to make like this diamond shape is what it's going to turn out to be. So it's going to go from a triangle to a diamond, which is nice. And then what we're actually going to do is take these little flaps here and we're going to fold them in half towards the center line here and fold. And fold. And then do it on the other side. And fold. So you go from a diamond and a triangle, this beautiful six-sided figure. And then what we're gonna do, this is actually the hardest part, but I promise we're almost done with this one actually. So you're gonna see you have flaps here and then you don't have any flaps here. You're gonna wanna pick the side that has these flaps, and so there should be like the flaps here. So with these flaps, we're actually going to first fold it a little bit. And they don't have to be great. You can just kind of fold them like that. And we're actually going to, see there's this little area right here. We're gonna tuck them in and make sure they're nice and secure. So you're gonna do it like that, and you're gonna shove them in, and then you're gonna fold and see how it's nice and secure and that flap's not coming back out. So we're gonna do the same thing to a couple more times, just a couple, not too many. Nope, gotta make sure that folds okay. Okay. And then I'm gonna grab it. And if you have problems getting these folded in, you can always ask an adult for help. Otherwise, you can also use a little pencil to kind of help you keep this open, these flaps, where you gotta tuck them in. So now we have one side done. So now we're gonna flip to the other side. So now we have just a few more to go, and then we get the fun part. So you go like this. And then we have just one more side to go, which is like this. And honestly, the last part is the hardest for me just because I end up, these can be hard to get in, but I really think you can do it. And like I said, they don't have to be perfect, they just have to stay in there. So now we get to do the fun part. So you notice that up here it's nice and the paper comes all together, but down here there's this, that's where all the paper meets up together. So there's like this little hole. So we actually have made a balloon is what we're making. So we get to hold it right here and see where the balloon is. We're actually going to blow into the top. Be careful though, because too much spit can help deteriorate the paper, but you're gonna just go and boom. See, it inflates nicely. And you have a balloon. So with the balloon, that's pretty much done. It's very simple, self-explanatory. It's very even, so if you remember the steps, it's just the same on each side. It's kind of hard to tear this one apart to show you again, but let me try. No, I'm not even gonna try. Anyway, you can just scroll back on the video if you need to rewatch any of the steps. Excuse me, sorry. And I hope you had a lot of fun. As always, I hope you're staying safe. So today we learned the frog and the balloon. If you really liked the origami, we can do more later in the upcoming weeks if you'd like. I just thought these were some fun ones that you probably might not have learned yet for origami wise, because I mean the frog and the balloon are a little less common, but still fun. I'm starting to ramble, so I'm just gonna get off the video. Bye bye. Have a great week, and enjoy folding as many frogs and balloons as you'd like. Don't forget to let your frogs hop around.